Hospitals are places we trust without hesitation, often without realizing how deeply that trust is built into our thinking. From the moment we walk through their doors, we believe the lights will always stay on, the machines will always function, and trained professionals will always be ready when life hangs by the thinnest possible thread. The steady beeping of heart monitors, the rhythmic hiss of ventilators, and the calm, controlled movements of doctors and nurses create a powerful sense of order, as if chaos, failure, and uncertainty cannot exist inside these walls. Families sit in waiting rooms believing every system has been tested repeatedly, every backup plan is prepared in advance, and every emergency has already been imagined and rehearsed. But sometimes, the most dangerous moments inside a hospital do not arrive with noise or warning. They do not come with blaring alarms, flashing red lights, or urgent announcements echoing through hallways. They arrive quietly. They arrive when technology fails without explanation, when power disappears in an instant, and when human instinct becomes the only barrier between life and death. This is the story of one night in an American hospital when the intensive care unit went completely silent. No glowing monitors, no alarms sounding, no automated systems offering instructions or reassurance. In that sudden darkness, fear spread through the unit, but panic did not take control. Lives were saved not by machines, not by software, and not by electricity, but by people who refused to freeze, people who relied on years of training, discipline under pressure, steady hands, clear thinking, calm breathing, teamwork, and the courage to act when everything else stopped working, even as seconds felt longer than minutes, and every breath mattered. In those critical moments, ordinary staff members became silent guardians of life, proving that when systems collapse, it is human resolve, responsibility, and courage that truly keep Poppy alive when technology fails and darkness takes over. It was 2:17 in the morning at a major hospital in Houston, Texas, a time when most of the city was asleep and the world outside felt distant and quiet. Inside the intensive care unit, the atmosphere was calm, almost eerily so. The lights were dimmed to protect resting patients, footsteps echoed softly across polished floors, and the steady rhythm of machines filled the air like a mechanical heartbeat. Heart monitors glowed green in the darkness, ventilators released slow, measured breaths, and 4 pumps clicked at precise intervals. Nurse Emily Carter, 28 years old, was midway through her 3rd consecutive night shift. Fatigue weighed on her shoulders, but her focus never drifted. She moved carefully from bed to bed, checking vital signs, adjusting tubing, and watching subtle changes most people would never notice. At bed 14, she paused. A 52-year-old man lay there recovering from emergency heart surgery, his chest rising gently with each assisted breath. His readings appeared stable, but stability in the ICU was fragile, something that could change without warning. Emily studied the monitor a moment longer than required, trusting a quiet instinct built from long nights and difficult cases. Then the lights flickered. Once, twice. A faint electrical hum rippled through the unit. Before anyone could react or speak, the monitors went dark, the machines fell silent, and the ICU was swallowed by a sudden, unnatural darkness. Every monitor shut off at the exact same moment. Ventilators stopped without warning. For pumps froze mid-dose, their screens going black as if someone had pulled the plug on life itself. The familiar sounds that defined the ICU vanished instantly, replaced by an unnatural and terrifying silence that pressed down on everyone in the room. There were no alarms, no flashing warnings, no automated voices explaining what had gone wrong. Only the sound of human breathing, and fragile in the darkness. For a brief second, time seemed to stop. Fear surged through the unit, sharp and immediate. Then Emily moved. She did not scream, and she did not panic. Training took over. Her voice cut through the darkness as she shouted clear, controlled instructions for manual ventilation. Nurses rushed toward storage carts by memory alone, grabbing ambu bags and oxygen lines guided by touch instead of sight. Within seconds, hands replaced machines. Oxygen was forced into patients' lungs manually, one breath at a time, each squeeze of the bag carefully timed and counted. Arms began to burn, sweat formed on foreheads, and every movement required intense focus. This was not a drill, and there was no remaining system to fall back on. In those moments, survival depended entirely on human hands, steady breathing, clear thinking, teamwork under pressure, and years of experience compressed into seconds where every breath mattered and every mistake could cost a life. Down the hall from the ICU, inside the operating wing, the power failure struck in the middle of a critical procedure. Dr. Marcus Hale, a senior anesthesiologist with decades of experience, was assisting in surgery when the lights vanished without warning. 1 second the operating room was bright and controlled, the next it was swallowed by darkness. The surgical lights shut off instantly, and the heart monitor went black, erasing the steady rhythm that guided every movement. The patient had not died, but without electricity there was no digital proof of life. For a fraction of a second, the room froze. Then training took over. A surgical technician pulled a phone from their pocket and switched on the flashlight, directing the narrow beam toward the operating table. Dr. Hale continued working without hesitation, his hands steady despite the darkness. Another staff member manually checked the patient's pulse, calling out each beat so everyone could hear. Someone else counted, breaths aloud, keeping rhythm in place of machines. Sweat formed as the team worked in silence.